stuff. You should make a poster or something, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will.
Make the poster.
Maybe some t-shirts too and mugs. Who knows?
Gotta talk to Nino about it. Nino, I wonder if Nino's still here in the chat.
I don't know.
Show yourself, Nino.
All right, let's jump to this little fella here.
So let's call out the student's name and say what's up. I don't know if you're here, but if you are,
Tran. Oh fuck, I'm gonna butcher it. Let's call him Tran because that's his
just
first
Tran
name.
for now.
Yeah, it's his last name, I believe. Tan. Fuck. Those names.
It's okay. At least you're honest about it, not trying to just like do it. So
yeah. Well, it's same with me. Like anytime I meet someone,
oh yeah, that when people try to get your name down, yeah. Maciej. My JG's.
My jiu-jitsu coach used to call me matcha latte. I don't know why.
Was that
or machete?
Machete? Einstein used to call you machete?
Yeah.
Somebody called you potato in the chat.
That's the easiest. Haters. Haters. I embrace it though.
Yeah, that's good. You can't. You just gotta let it be. Yeah. Okay, go on with your critique. Tran.
So I'm just gonna quickly critique on this image, just to say what I feel it's wrong with it or what's right. One thing that I would pay attention when you're painting in images, there's obviously a couple of things wrong, and I'll address them. But one of the things that I'll start with is tangents. You always want to make sure that whenever you're creating elements in your scene, that you're not having places where you have like a pinching points or where the lines are so close to the edge that they almost like merge with the edge. The pinching points would be here on the base of the columns, right here. I would try to avoid that. Either have the whole thing visible and maybe make like a half an inch of space on both sides.
You want to bring that into Photoshop and just bust a move? I think it'd be best because that'd be most applicable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I agree. Oh, that's good, dude. Dude, your Yoda's on point. Dude, Mache's Yoda game, dude, don't even touch with that thing, dude. Oh, man. I agree. Gotta get a Yoda sound clip in there, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude. We got to find some old video game sounds. I think that'd be good. Like you have the Metal Gear Solid, but I think like having some like Contra or like I don't know Castlevania or something would be cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna make it content aware, motherfucker. So what I would say, like just giving it a little extra space on the side, so it's not touching the edges. Again, this is not the major thing here, but I wanted to point it out because a lot of students make those mistakes. I did those as well many times. So okay, something like that works a little better because you don't have those pinching points, so your eyes are not traveling to edges anymore. Second thing is, I feel there's too many colors in this scene. There's just too many colors added. There are some inconsistencies in terms of what the lighting is and where the lighting is coming from. I would say if you have light, so it is staged lighting here. So basically you have a fluid light from the left and right. It's fine to do that, but then you have to be really consistent in terms of how the lighting is going to affect your scene. So the stairs themselves have a lighting that comes from the top. Then the columns have the light that comes from the sides, and it's confusing. I think this light should be deleted, and the stairs would probably have a highlight that is hitting the front of it the most. So your stairs would look totally different when they're lit, and they would sort of probably gradient in. So the center of it would be a little darker, not too dark, but a little darker. So if I would just make a selection right here, actually I'm gonna make a polygonal selection. like that.
Is there a perspective issue as well? Starting to see it.
Um,
So slightly off, I think.
it's a little weird, I think, in a way that stairs look here, and there's like this weird disconnect here.
Yeah.
But that's a separate issue. And then like it would probably be a little shadow here and shadow there, you know.
Yeah.
And then you would apply it to pretty much all of the stairs.
Sure.
So that will make things look completely different too. And it's fine to sort of like fade it away. So then all you start to see is really the reflection of this you know, obelisk that you have in the middle. Another thing is the top of the columns are probably out of perspective. You would probably not see the top of the column unless they are all shaved in this very specific downward way, which I don't think would happen. So you would probably see more of a shape that looks like that. The more variety of the shape would probably work better. Just to get because everything, when you look at those, the way the columns are broken down, and all of them are broken down in the same way, almost, you know, they're chipping away in the same way, and all of them are going in this direction downwards, you know, which is making it really confusing perspective-wise. Once you start adding like different shapes and maybe taper the size of it with distance, so that the ones that are in the back really feel smaller, that's going to help. And obviously the last thing would be color. There's just too much color here, too many different hues.
Is that because when things are going further away, they lose their luminosity and vibrancy? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just in general, there's just too many hues here. There's too many colors. There's inconsistency in light. So it's like, it feels that the scene is so well lit. It feels very artificial. Textures are very sharp, right? Which makes it look more photographic. But because of the amount of saturation also, it makes it feel a little bit too oversaturated, and there's just too many colors here. I'm gonna just add like color balance here for a second. I don't want to just go one direction with the color. Like you could either go make it, so have a consistency in the color palette. Just limit your color palette to one dominant color, and then supplement it with extra colors, whether they are complementary colors or, you know, or triads or whatever. There's like different ways of coloring images, and I would probably decrease the saturation too. It's probably too saturated here. Where's hue saturation? Right here. I'm gonna actually decrease it only in the blue. So the image will just start to feel more consistent, and then you could, you know, have maybe the red cape stand out the most, and then this keep this green like that. So you have two anchor elements that you're focusing on. Your eyes are not traveling all the way around. You don't want to have that. That's the worst thing you can have if your eyes are traveling everywhere, because what happens is that you're not focusing on, like if you're focusing on too many things, you're not focusing on anything anymore. You want to focus on just one or two things in the image that are the most important parts of the image, and everything else are supposed to be just backdrop and background. So when you work with contrast of values, and when you work with contrast of hues, that's something you do pay attention to, because hues can create a huge contrast too. When you look at it here, the amount of blue, red, and then blue, that alone creates like a big contrast. Your eyes are going different directions. There's a lot of contrast coming from values here. Those two columns are the most lit. And the guy is like in the red cape. The staircase is red. So it's almost like he's blending in. You really don't pay attention to him anymore. So
the lighting's quite interesting, right? You have like two edge lights on both sides. Wouldn't it be one directional if it's coming from the moon?
Yeah, so that's what I said in the beginning. It doesn't feel like a moonlight. It feels more of like a stage light, really. So
what about the light that's coming off the green? Wouldn't that cascade down the stairs too and bounce off the side too?
Probably be more looking more like that. So let me.
Sorry, Tran, I'm just destroying you right now, but I'm trying to give you the best of
No, no,
notes.
no,
So
no.
you,
It's all good.
yeah,
Let me
good.
see.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, you would probably have more of that stuff going on. More of a
Mm-hmm.
like the greenish reflection
Yeah.
on the stir. I'm gonna do two little things here. Just
So that's the perspective on the left side is off, though. That's
yeah,
what's kind of
perspective
throwing me
is
off too.
off. The perspective would just need to be fixed here,
Yeah.
obviously. So
I need to take your class. I should be an apprentice on it sometime when I get some time to do it. It'd be good to learn this stuff too. I mean, I already kind of know it, but it's good to really understand your process of it too.
yeah. And what I always gonna always say also is really pay attention to your the sharpness of the textures you're using, because it can get out of hand real quick.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the perspective wise, this would probably work better ish if the stairs were like this, so there's more consistency between the rails with the sort of like this barrier of column and the way it's constructed. Yeah, the stairs were definitely off there.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of stuff does struggle with this one, lighting and the perspective, all fundamentals. But if you get those fundamentals right, then everything else works
Exactly.
right. So it's just more, and that's why you started the lessons off when you taught the class. You were teaching like the basics, right? Like the perspective and all that stuff, and slowly built up. So
Right.
yeah,
Gonna make you presenter now.
cool. Yeah, let me present. Let me present.
Ash presents.
All right, so we're gonna talk about Otomo-san because he's the best. Look at his face; he's so pumped up right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Okay, yeah, I think you guys can.
Yeah, we
all
can.
right, so I'm gonna.
Of course
So
we can.
just to kind of recap what we're doing here, if you joined in or if you're not sure what's happening, we are going through on Learn Squared, the website learnsquared.com, where our students sign up. They have the ability to submit their homework, and it's something that we encourage because it keeps everybody kind of relevant and learning. So if you go into this, if you're not familiar with it, if you go to Learn Squared, I'm going to just kind of, I think last time I did a UI one, so let me just go into main title design.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into futuristic character design on the next stream.
Next one,
we have.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll probably bounce to UI design.
So
I'll be back
keep
and forth,
uploading those images, bitches.
Yes. And if you're curious about, like, if you're not sure, if you haven't signed up for the school or you're curious to see what's happening, if you go to like see all homework, so if you go to like one of my classes, you're like, I'm curious to take main title design with Ash, and then you can see, and then also my apprentice, which we actually need to add in Florian as well, because Florian was another one of our apprentices, so need to add that in. But let's see, if you go to see all homework, if you go right here, you can go and you can see all the homework that's been produced for the class, which is really cool because you get to kind of get a really good estimation of everything that's been created and stuff. And it's quite a bit of work to go through and stuff. It keeps going. So
some marvelous designer there, I think.
The marvelous
No,
designer.
no. Sorry, Daz 3D. The Desto.
Yeah, I believe I did teach Daz a little bit in this.
Scroll up. I was just curious about the one like a blue one with the girl face with some kind of tattoo looking.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, I think I've seen this. You want me to critique this one?
It's do whatever you want, dude. Do what the fuck you want.
Whoa! It's family place. It's interesting though. Okay. Yeah. Let me critique this one because
go ahead.
This student is basically taken almost exactly the way that I've kind of broken down the class. So let me actually go, and I was going to break this guy's down, but I think that this one would be good. So if we go into courses, break it down. So inside the lessons, there's 8 lessons in this one. It's quite an impacting, like, it's huge bit of work here. But if this is part of the using 3D software and compositing 3D renders, this is my second to last 2 lessons, lesson 6 and 7. This is what he's doing. Right. So let me go and break this down. This shot right here is quite. Let's see if I go. I wonder if it's the same thing. You little sneaky guy, you. Gotta make your own frames, you. Sneaky. Let's see. No, I think it's a little bit different. It's just something I taught. It's just like
Yeah,
from
it's
fun.
similar though.
Similar, yeah. So, anyways, let's go and talk to you about your doing this. So, let's see. I'm gonna call you Kai. Okay. It's not the same problem. So,
Kaiyuan.
Kaiyuan.
Kaiyuan?
Okay.
Kaiyuan?
Okay.
I think so.
Um,
Call him
uh,
Low.
yeah, yeah. And
Luo,
Ruby Bot,
Low.
take my class and battle me. Bring it, dude. I'm all for it. So I love it. So yeah, so I think with this one, I think the shader's cool. I think the thing that you got to watch out for, and it's also something that I had to learn from the hard way, is that when you get exports from DAZ, you're gonna have these weird seam lines in the UV. So you need to figure out a way of remapping your
I figured it out.
textures.
I figured it out.
Did you figure it out?
Well, not mapping. No, I figured out something else. Never mind.
Oh,
Never
why your
mind.
face
Never
then?
mind. Fuck.
You failed me. Failed me for the last time.
Failed me for the last time.
All right. So yeah, so you need to watch out for those seams because that instantly takes it away. Another thing is you want to watch for distortions and also size and scale of your textures. So, and then perspective of your camera. So I think that this is, when we're going through this, I hope you're signing on and checking out these classes because they're only going to help you evolve. Because I think it's really good for you to see kind of how Mache and I approach these things. When you start to see us picking out lenses and cameras and stuff, the difference between my work and your work is going to be in those small details, how these things are framed. Like why did I put more of the wrist in this and a little bit of here, little fingers in here? Why did I do that? And there's an intention in that. Everything has an intention. And if it isn't, it's a subjective, like not subjective, but but the intention in this frame. It's just to show like a breaking of two hands, like the clasp of two hands, in kind of relation to 6 Feet Under title sequence, but at the same time having this like disconnection in this frail little moment because the title itself is frail. So kind of capturing this poetic moment, I guess, between an exchange of an embrace or the reaching out of two things, So yeah, so you should be mindful of your materials. Your shader is very basic and simple. And I can only say that now because I'm getting much better at these things. So your camera position, I would say you might want to not go so low and you probably want to switch the lens a little bit. I think you're using a pretty good lens here and you're flattening out just right, but there's something to keep in mind. So UVing, the size of your textures and all that kind of stuff is really important. I believe the texture that you're using is nice, and you're using the same typeface that I think I'm using. I can't remember if this is it. A little bit similar, but it's cool. It's nice.
Yeah,
when
it's different, I think.
Yeah, it's different. The C's are different. But when you're setting your type and stuff, just be cautious of placement and size and scale. I think the leading letter is a little bit too large for the rest of it, and your kerning and setting, the letting that you have here could use a little bit of work too. So just the G and like these spaces kind of feel like it doesn't read as well as it could. So little fine touches, again, little details and things like that. I think this shot's cool, and I think it works cool because of what it's telling me. It's got some interesting narrative aspects based on like the texture that you use, but I feel the texture is just too large and it doesn't have that ornateness and it doesn't have the same world space. Like Mache was mentioning his critique, texture is so important in having the right world space texture. Like if one thing is super sharp and one isn't, then your eye is going to instantly jump out of the picture. And what you always want to do with your images is keep people engaged for as long as possible. The longer somebody engages in your work, let's say let's use Leonardo da Vinci, for example, like the Mona Lisa, think about how many hours people have spent looking at that one painting alone. And why is that? It's because many things, but one of the big reasons is because he managed to capture a lot of interesting things that we hold value to in art and just in reality itself as well. So something to keep in mind. So I like the blurring effect here. I think it's cool, and I like that you figured out a way of making the stuff, kind of the graphics going over her face. I think that's cool. Again, UVing issues. You have like the eyelashes. So when you export to an OBJ, and I believe keep everything separate so that you can go back in here. Or when you go into Cinema 4D and you import, you can use you can export as a Kaleido, and I believe the Kaleido will give you like all these things in tags, so you can go and augment these if you need. Or you can export as an OBJ and then import using Hot 4D, I think it's called. Let's see, Hot 4D plugin. I believe this is what it's called. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think this is it. No, it's not Hot 4D. I keep always mess these up. There's another plugin that I can't remember, but um, it's a plugin that you use for Cinema 4D that brings in OBJs and itemizes everything really nicely. I'll think when it comes to mine, I'll tell you what it is, but I can't think of it right now, or somebody in the chat will be able to. So, I think this is cool. I like the Hokusai, I like the print. I think that's nice. I like how it fades out, and I like the difference between these two. If you want to heighten up the reality again, you're going to want to add in ultra textures and details too. So again, like look at how I was using the lighting in here. You know, like I was suggesting for him, but look all the texture, look how the light's catching all this stuff. I mean, this is when I look back at this, it's quite funny because this is like really early work for me inside of Octane. You know, like I've grown leaps and bounds in the past like month or so since this, but at the same time, like see the false reality which I'm trying to achieve. Yeah, exactly that does. Quiet down, you. No, but yeah, it's true. But what I'm trying to do is achieve that subtle reality. But reality is when you try to achieve reality, you're going to have a lot of imperfections and inconsistencies in the way that light kind of catches over it. So if that's what you're trying to achieve, a hyper reality, I think that what would help you is building up your materials. You really need to spend more time on your materials and make sure that those work well. And a lot of your shots are mediums, so I would say switch it up. So this is if we talked about the composition wise, this is the same shot as like this shot. This shot is quite similar to these two shots are the same in regards to like what space they take up. So you don't have a lot of variety, and you can use a lot more variety. I like the use of light here. I think this is great, and I like the use of kind of suggesting her form here. I think that's really good. Works well. Again, your type could use a little bit of help, maybe shrink it down a little ever so slightly, and I would probably figure out a way of blending these two, your lead letter and the rest of them, kind of finding a better middle ground. Right now, they're a little bit too big between the two, and it's causing a little bit of a shift, a little too much. Your blur here looks good, but it's very digital, so it feels like you get that weird halo, that digital halo effect, which I hate. So don't do that. So it drives me nuts. So and there's ways of making it better, and I know I teach this, so make sure
your nuts.
Drives my nuts. Yes. Remind me to tell you the joke about the pirates. So when we end, I'll tell you about the pirates. Hopefully I don't butcher it, but yeah. This frame, I mean, although it's very similar to the stuff that I made, let's see if we go here. I think it's nice and it works really well. And I think by using this texture is really cool. Again, you're going to want to have your textures to be stronger and more finite, and also be mindful, like see how this is floating off the surface. That's again, it's not reality, so you're going to want to catch that. Make sure that if you're trying to achieve reality or a subtle version of reality, make sure you're abiding by the rules of reality, which is gravity and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
This is interesting. Is this like a Hydra 74 print or something? This is what it looks like. Again, the fake blur is bad. Like, don't do that if you can avoid it. And I know I've taught this. When you're making stuff in Marvelous Designer, always export to quads, I believe, and that's in this. It's in the settings on the lower right.
Or apply subdivisions in Cinema or Turbo Smooth in Max. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can fix this by
extra.
Yep, because I'm seeing a lot of polygon information, and there's no need for that too. So, and you could switch your angle on this a little bit too to kind of change it. You're blending between multiple different things. You have like a Hokusai and from one point you have a Hokusai, and then the next one you have like vector art by like Hydro 74, I believe. Maybe this is what it is. So be cautious of that too, because these are clashing in eras and genres and tools and resources. So be cautious of the references that you're pulling from for materials and textures and stuff too. So because some of them might not work well together. So just be cautious of that. I'm chewing you a new ass, but this is good. And I think that, if you were my student in my mentorship class, like I'd be just drilling you until you figured it out, and I'd be going at it because you need to have those honest feedbacks and stuff. The material here, again, it's really doesn't feel like real material. It doesn't feel like cloth. It could be a lot better. And I think that could just be in your upping your sensibilities and the sensitivities and the distance of the particles inside of Marvelous Designer when you run your final simulation. So just make sure that you're keeping cautious of that. This frame's pretty cool too. So again, so I think your type could use a little bit of help. Be cautious of your materials, your textures, the use of materials, which materials you use. world textures, world space, composition, cameras, all that stuff. All this stuff could use some help, and that would help you get this work from like what it is now, which is like it's pretty good. It could be great if you just added those final little tweaks and little things here and there too. So, and it's good that you've kind of fallen along with me and followed this, but you've strayed off in a wrong way, I think, on a couple of the decisions you made. And I think if you're going to copy me and if you're going to follow along with me, then at least replicate it, find a way of replicating it, and then go off and disperse and use another idea and another concept and then go make something better. My goal, what I would love to see with all my students is for you guys to just like destroy it and crush it and make amazing stuff and like make me like look like I need to like, go back to school and constantly work, because that's the goal. Because I want you guys to be better than me, that way it makes the art form better. Like nobody owns art. Art's owned by everybody, and I want everybody to help elevate it too. So, and I can only do that if you guys, put in the work as well and are paying close attention to all the details in which I'm teaching. Because I know I've taught all this stuff I just talked about. It's just a matter of you really taking them in and understanding those principles and applying them with rigorous practice. So, but this is a good critique. I think hopefully this will make sense and it's applicable for you. So. Maybe next time too, I can kind of like go through and break down some of this stuff too and reiterate the reasons why I did the things that I did here to kind of, capture a certain tone, energy, value, sensibility, textures, taking photographs basically in 3D. Like look at the difference between our shot here. So this is your rendition of it here. And look at the difference here, like see the material, the switch in material, how the material is catching light, the inconsistencies, the variance, all that kind of stuff. All this stuff is what you're going to want to achieve. And since Octane and all that stuff gives us the ability to do that, like really put some time into understanding your material shaders and stuff, because that's going to be the difference between a good piece of work and a great piece of work too. So cool.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Awesome.
Shit.
Yeah.
Now that's called a critique.
Yeah. There.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is what we do on mentorships, guys. This is how we review work on mentorships. This is exactly what we do. Even more in depth in some cases. A lot of cases. Because as you said, Ash, the goal is to get everyone who joins the course to get better at the end of it. Get a lesson out of it, and you can go back to the course itself and apply everything you've learned across and do the homeworks again and see the difference. So that's the goal we're after. And cute.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up, dude. We went a little bit over time.
10 minutes over. I usually think like when you and I do these together, if we're doing homework critiques, it'll probably be like an hour 20 minutes, hour 30 minutes max, but we went a little over, so we got to watch that. Awesome, guys. I'll make sure the time is a little bit better. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you guys. We need an ending song, dude. We need an ending song. Yeah. How about Chumbawamba? I don't have that, but I can end with this one. Peace out, everybody. Yeah. Peace. Peace.